Acharya ji Pranam. At the start of the second chapter of the Bhagvad Gita, Shri Krishna explains Arjun the difference between the body and the self. And in verse 22 he says, as after rejecting worn out clothes, a man takes up new ones, likewise after rejecting worn out bodies, the embodied one unites with other new ones. Acharya ji, this analogy has been widely used to explain how body is not the self, and the same analogy also provides a nice model to grasp the concept of rebirth. But is it as simplistic as it appears? What is the essence? Do Atma and soul refer to the same entity? If not, what is the difference? Chapter 2, verse 22. As after rejecting worn out clothes, a man takes up new ones, likewise after rejecting worn out bodies, the embodied one unites with other new ones. Who is the embodied one? Therein lies all the general confusion. The truth, the pure self, the Atma is formless, nameless, timeless, and obviously bodiless. So the embodied one in verse 22 obviously does not refer to the Atma. It refers to Prakriti. It refers to the Jivatma. And Jivatma is not at all Atma. Jivatma is not at all the Atma of the Jiva, Jiv's Atma. Jivatma simply means that which the Jiv, being a Jiv, thinks of as his Atma or his center. The Jiv, the person, being a person, being a mistaken entity, thinks of his ego, his I, as his center. So he calls the ego as the Atma, that is Jivatma. Jivatma does not have anything to do with Atma. So it is the Prakriti that moves from body to body. It is the Jivatma that moves from body to body. In other words, it is the Prakriti that keeps giving rise to one body after the other, and all bodies carry the central trait of the previous bodies. All bodies carry the central trait of the bodies that came before them. What is that central trait called? The ego, the I. So it is the I sense or the Prakriti or Jivatma that keeps on dawning, adopting one body after the other. It is that tendency to be that keeps assuming one shape after the other. And that tendency to be is so keenly in search of its final association that even when it appears like being associated with one particular body, it is actually changing its association moment to moment. How? Because the body is constantly changing and because the mind is constantly changing. So, really, the I sense is moving from body to body every second. It is not that the I sense moves on to a different body only after the previous body has died. That which you call as the previous body, that which you call as one particular body, is not a fixed or constant entity. It appears to be constant because the changes occurring in it every second are infinitesimally small. So we are not able to detect them. There is an illusion of continuity, whereas there is no real continuity. Look at your body as a scientist would look at it. How greatly it changes every day. Where is the continuity? And even more significant is the change in the mind every half an hour. Don't we know that? And the I sense is associated with the body and with the mind, and therefore it is adopting a new identity every new moment. Right now it says, I am happy. Next moment it says, I am angry. Has it not moved on to a new mind? Has the I sense not moved on to a new mind? Tell me. Similarly, if it says, I am the body, then right now it is, I am body one. Then you go to sleep. And when you wake up, in that interval, the body has actually undergone a substantial change. Body 1 has become body 2. So you have changed your identity statement from I am body 1 to I am body 2. How is it different from saying, now I am Ramesh, a few hours back I was Rajesh. But when you say Rajesh has changed to Ramesh, it appears like a clear case of rebirth, right? The thing that was once Rajesh is now calling itself as Ramesh. And you will say, see, rebirth has taken place. You will keenly agree. It will be a matter of excitement. But when the same thing happens within one particular body, then you do not quite so eagerly accept it. I am body 1 becomes I am body 2. It's just that body 1 and body 2 are coincidentally carrying the same name. If you are Satyam, then body 1 was named Satyam and body 2 is also named Satyam. It's just that Satyam 1 is very different from Satyam 2. We are not able to notice this because memory provides, as we said, an illusion of continuity. Are you getting it? When you read verse 22 of chapter 2, never forget that the one that is transmigrating is not Atma. It is the Jivatma. And Jivatma is nothing but Prakriti. Jivatma is nothing but the I sense. And Jivatma is nothing in particular because the Prakriti is nothing in particular. Prakriti is no thing, no person in particular. Prakriti is, you could say, the principle that runs this universe. You could even say Prakriti is the set of principles that lies at the bottom of this universe. So Jivatma also is no particular thing. Do not try to visualize the Jivatma as something in particular that is moving from body to body. Because we do have very popular pictorial depictions in which it is shown very loudly, very, very clearly that something gets out of a dying man's body and then enters into some other womb, and then the thing inside the womb gets life. No. It is the Jivatma that is common between one body and the other body, but the Jivatma is a principle, not a thing. A principle doesn't quite hop from one body to the other. The Jivatma is nothing in particular. So do not think that there is something called the soul residing in your body that gets out at the time of birth and enters some other body. Nothing like that happens. That's a total misinterpretation of Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita. And a lot of damage has occurred because people have been very mistakenly interpreting verses like 2.22 of the Bhagvad Gita. They have been interpreting it out of context. They have been interpreting it without using the broader light of the Bhagavad Gita itself and Vedanta in general. Anything that is said in the Bhagavad Gita will obviously concur with and resonate with Vedantic literature in general, right? The Gita is a de facto Upanishad. Some even say that the Gita is the essence of all Upanishads. If Gita is a de facto Upanishad, is Gita going to be saying something that goes against the essence of Upanishads? So this verse has to be read along with the other important verses and the Mahavakyas of the Vedantic literature. And when you read them all together, when you read them all in a holistic way, then you clearly see that there is nothing called a soul as far as Vedanta is concerned. There is the Atma and there is Prakriti. And the I sense is one of the elements of Prakriti. What are their respective qualities? Pay attention, the Atma has no qualities, it is Nirgun. Which means the Atma is never even born. How can it be reborn? That's one basic principle of Vedanta. The Atma is Ajat, Ajanma and Amar. Never born, never died. Doesn't take birth, never dies. And somehow, most people forget this basic axiom They start saying, oh, the Atma has taken rebirth. But the Atma never takes even one birth. How can it take a birth? Atma doesn't take even the first birth. Atma is never born. So how can it be reborn? So keep Atma out of all this. When birth and rebirth and death are being discussed, Atma is not in question. In these equations, Atma has to be kept totally aside. Then what is it that takes rebirth? We will never forget this. It is Prakriti that keeps waving like an ocean. The Prakriti is an ocean that waves. And every wave, when it is rising, is a birth. And every wave, when it is ebbing, dying, is a death. Are you getting it? So, the material world arises from Prakriti and goes back to Prakriti. Just as all bodies arise from the soil and go back to the soil. And then from the same soil, more bodies arise. And then they again go back to soil. It is Prakriti that takes birth and rebirth. And we said Prakriti is nothing in particular. So there is nothing in particular that is taking one body and then moving on to the next body. We'll have to totally drop this bad idea that there is something that survives even after a person has died. We harbor this kind of a notion, right? That something in a person will survive his death, and that surviving something will then move on to the next body, another body. No, nothing like it. Nothing in a particular person is going to survive his death. All that you are will be totally destroyed with death. What will survive your death? That which was there even before your birth, and that is the principle. The principle that gave you birth will survive your death as well. The name of that principle is not Atma. The name of that principle is Prakriti. Atma is a mere witness. It keeps witnessing the entire birthing and rebirthing game of Prakriti. Atma neither takes birth and is nor ever subjected to death. Atma is a mere witness, a perfect non-doer. In front of the Atma, I'm just modeling it a bit. In front of the Atma, Prakriti is playing its entire game. What's happening in the game? Rise and fall, rise and fall. What else can happen? Any game consists of only a rise and a fall in various ways. Pick up any game. It will always involve something rising, something falling, something rising, something falling, something going left, something going right, which means opposite forces at play, which means the game of duality. Prakriti is constantly playing the game of duality. In the game of duality, one side is called birth, the other side is called death. Atma is not playing that game. Atma is merely watching and enjoying that game. Enjoying not by the way of consumption, enjoying by the way of non-interference, non-association, dispassion. Atma has nothing to do with anything. It will not have anything to do with one body, neither will it have anything to do with another body. Get rid of this notion that the Atma resides in the body. The Atma does not reside in the body. Nothing resides in the body except its material constituents. And all the material constituents are reduced to ash and vapor when the body is incinerated. Are you getting it? What survives the body? Let's revise the principle. The Prakriti principle survives the body, and Prakriti will take rebirth, just as the ocean gives rise to one wave after the other. And the essential element of all waves remains the same. Similarly, the essential element of all births remains the same. What is that essential element called? That which is very interested in taking birth. That which is very interested in associating with somebody. What is it that is so lonely that it desperately keeps wanting to associate with somebody? That is called the I sense or ego or aham vritti. It has to associate with this, it has to associate with that, it has to associate with this. All these sequences of successive associations can be called as rebirths. I associated with you, and then I broke off, and then I associated with him. This can as well be called as a rebirth. I was saying, I am something with respect to you, and now I say, I am something with respect to him. So, I am Rajesh has changed to I am Rakesh. Isn't it a rebirth? I am Rajesh has changed to I am Rakesh. That's a rebirth. But rebirth is not how we generally think of it. That's all a very childish fantasy. Unfortunately, in India, we have lived for too long with that kind of a misinterpretation and a very fantastic kind of imagination. We must give it up. All the myths regarding one fellow dying and then taking birth in the next village have to be totally junked. All that is sheer nonsense, propaganda.
Pranam Acharya. The example which you gave, the example of sea and wave, I heard it many times, but I find it difficult to understand.
It means that from the same pool, a lot of beings keep rising and then they fall back into the same pool. When they rise, then they assume a particular name, a distinct personality. When they go back to the same pool, then they again become anonymous, turn into nothing. When they rise, then they start getting counted as persons. After they are gone, their essence still remains, but the personality is lost. When birth happens, then you feel happy and you say, now the person has come into existence. The person has risen from the soil. When he goes back to the soil, then it is not the soil that has been destroyed. It is the personality that is gone. From the same soil, something else will rise. Another personality. So the soil keeps rebirthing again and again.
Acharya, you have explained the Prakriti that that goes through cycle of birth and rebirth, and that Prakriti is violent, and that is ego that takes birth and rebirth. So
I never said Prakriti is violent. There is no violence in Prakriti as such. There is just movement. Prakriti moves in its own predetermined ways. There is no violence there. For violence, there has to be a choice to be non-violent. Prakriti has no choice. In Prakriti, there are just set patterns that keep repeating and also keep evolving. So there is no violence really in Prakriti. A lion attacking a deer is not really violence. But a man killing a deer might be violence, because man had a choice.
Acharya, can we say that fear is a Prakriti that goes from one entity to another entity?
Fear is Prakriti's way, one of the tools that are given to the person, to ensure that the person is able to successfully complete his lifetime. In Prakriti, fear exists as a tool to support life. Animals too are afraid. Even plants are afraid. But when they are afraid, their fear is for their physical survival or protection. Prakriti has given them this tool. Have fear and you will survive. Man too finds some utility in the tool of fear. But for man, fear often becomes problematic because fear is constituted to protect only your little self, which consists of the body and the mind. Fear is not designed to liberate you from body and mind. The quality of fear is designed to protect your existing little self, right? Oh, somebody should not hurt my body. Somebody should not hurt my ego or prestige or fame or notions. That's fear. Correct? But fear never says, oh, I should not miss out on liberation. Man is never afraid of missing out on liberation. Because fear in the Prakritic way has not been designed to have liberation as an object. The object of fear is always the little self, the mind and the body. That's what you are always afraid about. Prakriti has not designed fear to have liberation as the object, as the end. And that's why fear is not good for those who are looking to have an evolved consciousness, those who want freedom from littleness and the mundane traps of life. Fear is not good for them.